After more than 8 decades of waking up, living, struggling, learning, and trying again, I've come to understand something that still amazes me. So much of what we were taught about health was never the full story. For most of my life, I tried to follow rules. Eat this, avoid that, wake up early, push through fatigue, don't rest too much, and never enjoy food too often. I thought that was discipline. I thought that was the path to staying strong. But somewhere along the way, especially as I stepped into my late 70s, I began listening to my own body instead of the rules printed in magazines or repeated by people who barely knew me. And something remarkable happened last year when my doctor reviewed my tests, my heart rhythm, my blood pressure, my cholesterol, my bone strength, even my memory. He looked up at me with the kind of surprised smile doctors rarely show. He said, "For someone your age, this is extraordinary." I almost laughed, because the reason behind it wasn't some strict routine or expensive supplement. It was the exact opposite. As it turns out, the habits that kept me healthy were the very things people once told me not to do. Things considered lazy, old-fashioned, or unhealthy. But new research, good research from places like Harvard and major aging institutes now shows that many of those old warnings were just myths. And that's why I want to share with you my 5 so-called bad habits that have kept me grounded, energized, and surprisingly young in spirit. Not because I want you to copy me, but because maybe, just maybe, your body has been quietly asking for the same things mine has. The greatest health wisdom often comes from listening to your body, not from chasing trends. Habit number 1, my daily afternoon reset. Why I nap without guilt. When I was younger, I used to feel almost embarrassed if anyone caught me resting during the day. Napping was something for toddlers and tired travelers, not responsible adults. At least, that's what we were made to believe. But as I grew older, somewhere around my early 70s, my body began sending a gentle signal every afternoon. A heaviness in the eyes, a warmth in the head, a soft tug pulling me toward rest. At first, I resisted, drank more tea, walked around the yard, forced myself to stay productive. And every time I noticed the same thing, my energy dipped, my thoughts felt scattered, and the evening felt longer than it should. So one day, instead of fighting it, I simply lay down. 30 minutes, eyes closed, nothing fancy. And I woke up feeling like someone had quietly pressed a reset button inside me. Since then, I've taken a small nap almost every afternoon. Not long enough to drift into deep, heavy sleep, just a light, restorative pause. And the difference it makes still surprises me. My evenings feel smoother, my mind sharper, my passions deeper. Modern science now confirms what my body already knew. A short nap gives the heart a break and the brain a chance to reorganize. It lowers stress hormones, clears mental fog, and improves memory. Not bad for something most people feel guilty doing. But here's the part most folks misunderstand. It's not about sleeping because you're getting old. It's about resting because you're finally wise enough to honor your rhythms. I even remember meeting a man named Harold at a community center a few years ago. He was 81, a retired painter, and he said something that stayed with me. Every time I nap, I feel like I borrow an extra hour of life from the universe. We laughed, but he wasn't wrong. If you choose the right moment, not too late in the day, not too long, your body thanks you for it. A nap isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you respect the body that's carried you this far. The art of the perfect nap, how I make mine work every time. Over the years, I found a few simple things that turn a nap into real nourishment. I rest between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. That's when our internal clock naturally dips. I keep it between 25 to 40 minutes. Long enough to refresh, but not long enough to disrupt nighttime sleep. I treat it like a ritual. Curtains partly drawn, phone on silent, a comfortable pillow. And the most important rule? I never apologize for resting. The world will keep spinning whether you nap or not, so you might as well feel good while it does. Habit number 2, returning to real food. Why I stopped fearing full-fat dairy. Now let's move on to a habit that might surprise you even more. I eat full-fat dairy every single day. Butter, whole milk, creamy yogurt, the kind of foods people avoided for decades because they were labeled bad, dangerous, or unhealthy. But here's something I learned through both personal experience and years of reading new studies out of curiosity. Food becomes harmful when you remove what makes it natural. When companies stripped the fat out of dairy, they replaced it with sugar, gums, fillers, and flavor chemicals. What we lost in nourishment, we gained in problems: blood sugar swings, constant hunger, weight gain, and inflammation. So, in my early 70s, I quietly went back to the foods I grew up with. A spoon of thick yogurt in the morning, a pat of real butter on my bread, a glass of whole milk in the evening. And strangely enough, I felt better. My energy steadied. Mi digestión improved. Mi hunger calmed down. Later, I learned why. Healthy fats help the body absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K nutrients essential for the heart, bones, and immune system. They also give the brain long-lasting fuel and stabilize blood sugar. I have a friend named Rosa, a retired school librarian. She spent years eating low-fat everything, yet she always felt hungry, tired, and unsatisfied. When she switched to full-fat yogurt, real yogurt, she told me, "It's like my body finally exhaled." Sometimes, the body knows what the mind has forgotten. When food is real, simple, and whole, your body recognizes it and rewards you for choosing it. The quiet strength of natural fat. Let me tell you something many people overlook. Your brain is more fat than anything else. Your hormones depend on healthy fats, and your cells use fat to build their protective walls. So when we fear fat, we unknowingly deprive the body of its building material. Instead of being afraid, I lean into moderation and quality. A little butter, a little cheese, a serving of yogurt with fresh berries. Not indulgence, just nourishment. And you know what? It works. Now, if the first 2 habits surprised you, the next one might shock you even more. It's something most people avoid because they think it harms the heart, yet research shows it protects the mind in powerful ways. Habit number 3, my daily cups of clarity. Why I drink regular coffee every day. If there's one habit people have tried to talk me out of over and over again, it's my coffee. You should see the looks I get when I pour myself my 3rd cup of the day, somewhere between shock and concern, as if I'm committing a crime against my own heart. But here's the truth. Coffee has been my companion for more than 60 years. Not just a drink, but a morning ritual, a moment of comfort, and honestly, a small slice of joy. I used to think maybe I should cut back because that's what everyone said to do. But every time I tried, I felt dimmer, slower, like someone had turned the brightness down on the world. So eventually, I stopped trying to quit. And as it turns out, decades of research now say that this little brown bean I've loved so much is doing far more good than harm. In fact, some of the largest studies on aging show that 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day may protect the brain as we grow older. Now, I'm no scientist, but I've read enough and lived long enough to notice patterns. Coffee provides more than warmth. It delivers antioxidants, natural anti-inflammatory compounds, and something even more powerful: gentle stimulation for the brain's memory centers. There's a gentleman I knew named Malcolm, a violinist in his younger years. At 78, he told me he still practiced by the window every morning, coffee cup in hand, because he believed his mind felt tuned after those first few sips. He used to say, "Coffee wakes up the part of me that remembers who I am." I couldn't agree more. Sometimes the habits that bring you joy also bring you health, and that's no coincidence. The right way to drink coffee as you age. It's not just about quantity, it's about approach. Let me be clear. I'm not talking about those sugary, syrupy desserts in disguise that people call coffee nowadays. A true cup of coffee doesn't need a mountain of whipped cream or half a cup of flavored syrup to shine. My own cup is simple, freshly brewed. A splash of cream, no sugar. When coffee is kept pure, it offers its full benefits, helping manage blood sugar, improving focus, lowering inflammation, and supporting memory. Here are a few gentle rules I've learned through trial, error, and listening to my own body. I drink my first cup an hour after waking. When you first rise, your natural alertness hormone is already high. Waiting allows the coffee to support your rhythm, not overwhelm it. I stopped drinking coffee by early afternoon. Not because coffee is bad, but because protecting sleep is sacred. I avoid sugary add-ins. Sugar invites energy crashes, while coffee alone gives steady clarity. I drink it slowly. Coffee isn't something to rush. It's a moment to breathe. What I love most is that coffee brings both calmness and alertness, a rare pairing. It sharpens the mind without rushing the heart when consumed thoughtfully. And isn't that what we need most in our later years? To stay awake to our lives without feeling pressured or overwhelmed. Healthy habits work best when practiced with mindfulness, not mindlessness. Habit number 4, sleeping late, on purpose. Why I stopped trying to be an early bird. Here's something I never thought I'd admit out loud. I no longer try to sleep early. I used to force myself into bed at 9 or 10 p.m. because that's what everyone insisted was the right thing to do. But as I crossed into my 70s, something changed. My mind felt awake in the evenings, calm, reflective, alive. Lying in bed early felt like trying to silence a part of myself that wasn't ready to rest. One night, after tossing and turning for hours, I simply got up. I made a warm drink, turned on a quiet documentary, let my thoughts drift gently. I finally went to bed close to midnight, and for the first time in years, I slept deeply. That's when it hit me. My body wasn't resisting sleep. It was resisting someone else's schedule. The older I get, the more I realize that sleep quality is far more important than sleep timing. Research supports this too, showing that deep, restful sleep improves memory, stabilizes mood, helps regulate hormones, and reduces inflammation, regardless of whether it starts at 9 p.m. or midnight. A dear friend named Louise, an 86-year-old former choir singer, once told me, "Nighttime is when my mind feels closest to peace." She writes letters, reads poetry, and sometimes listens to old recordings of her choir performances. She sleeps at 12:30, wakes at 7:30, and feels rested, and she's as sharp as ever. A healthy life follows your natural rhythm, not society's expectations, creating deep, nourishing sleep. The rituals that changed everything for me. Once I accepted that my bedtime didn't need to fit someone else's definition of healthy, everything shifted. Now I focus on protecting the depth of my sleep, not the clock. I keep my bedroom cool. A cool environment tells the body it's time to release tension. I dim the lights an hour before bed. Darkness signals the brain to produce melatonin naturally. I avoid screens late at night. My eyes and mind thank me every morning. I enjoy a calming routine. Sometimes soft music, sometimes gentle stretching, sometimes just silent. I honor consistency. Going to bed and waking up at similar times helps the body trust its own rhythm. And something I rarely admit. I love the quiet of late nights. The world slows down, thoughts become softer, reflection becomes easier. It's like having a private conversation with life itself. When I sleep at the time my body naturally chooses, my rest feels deeper and more restorative, almost like my mind and body finally agree on something. The most powerful healing often happens in the quiet spaces you create for yourself. The emotional magic of nighttime. Let me share something delicate with you. Late night hours have a unique kind of stillness. They make room for thoughts you don't hear during the rush of the day. They invite you to notice your own breath, your own feelings, your own memories. Sometimes I sit by the window and listen to the hum of the night-distant crickets, wind brushing against the trees, the soft silence of a sleeping neighborhood. Those moments have taught me more about myself than most books ever could. So if you're someone who feels naturally awake at night, please don't shame yourself for it. The goal isn't to match someone else's clock, it's to honor your inner one. And that inner clock holds more wisdom than you think. If you found these first 4 habits surprising, the final one might be the most unexpected and the most powerful. It has nothing to do with food, or sleep, or even rest. Yet, it has healed parts of me no doctor ever could. Habit number 5. Finding humor in my own humanity. Why I laugh at myself every single day. Now, I want to share the habit that has quietly guided me through some of my hardest moments, the one people find most surprising when I say it out loud. Every day, without fail, I laugh at myself, not in a harsh way, not in a self-critical way, but in a gentle way, like an old friend who knows me well and can smile at my quirks. I laugh when I misplace my glasses only to find them on top of my head. I laugh when I walk into a room and forget why I went there. I laugh when I spill something, when I mispronounce something, when I trip over my own shoes. Life gives us endless opportunities to react with frustration. But I've learned that reacting with amusement works far better. You see, laughter isn't just entertainment. For people my age, it's a form of medicine, one that's free, accessible, and astonishingly effective. A good laugh releases endorphins. It eases tension. It relaxes the heart. It brings oxygen rushing into the body like a fresh breeze. And here's something I've observed across the years. People who can laugh at themselves age differently. Their faces stay softer, their mood stays lighter, and their relationships stay warmer. I used to know a man named Peter, a widower in his early 80s. He told me, every morning, before I do anything else, I smile at myself in the mirror. If I don't laugh at the old rascal staring back at me, who will? He wasn't mocking himself, he was embracing himself. And that, my friend, is a powerful way to live. When you can laugh at yourself, you carry a light that nothing can dim. The science behind the smile. Why humor protects the body. I may be old, but I'm still curious. So when I started noticing how much better I felt after laughing, I did a little reading. Modern research shows that laughter lowers blood pressure, improves circulation, strengthens the immune system, reduces stress hormones, supports heart health, boosts memory and attention. Some studies even show that laughter produces a cardiovascular response, similar to light exercise without the sore knees afterward. When you laugh, your chest expands, your lungs draw in richer air, and your blood flows more freely. It's like a workout for the spirit and a massage for the heart. But here's the part I find most beautiful. Laughter softens life. It makes mistakes feel less threatening. It makes aging feel less heavy. It makes ordinary moments feel warm again. And the older I get, the more I appreciate anything that lightens the load. A single laugh can shift the direction of your entire day. A story that stayed with me. A few years ago, I met a woman named Irene, a bright, silver-haired grandmother with eyes that sparkled when she spoke. She had gone through a tough decade, losing a sibling, managing arthritis, and adjusting to living alone for the first time in years. Yet she radiated joy. When I asked her how she maintained such lightness, she said something I'll never forget. Life took a lot from me. The least I can do is give myself permission to laugh. She joined a small humor group at her community center, where they shared funny stories, acted out little skits, and even practiced a form of gentle laughter therapy. Within months, she said her mood brightened, her loneliness softened, her pain felt lighter. She told me, "I thought laughter just came from happiness. I never knew it could create happiness." That stuck with me. Sometimes the things we wait for, joy, peace, relief, can actually be built moment by moment with small practices like laughter. The real pattern behind my 5 habits, why they work better together. Now that you've heard all 5 habits, I want to show you something important, something I didn't even realize until years after living this way. Every one of these habits has something in common. Napping, eating real, full-fat foods, drinking coffee, sleeping in harmony with my natural rhythm, laughing at myself. They're not about restriction. They're not about fear. They're not about forcing the body into someone else's rules. They're about listening, responding, respecting what the body's been trying to say for years. That, I believe, is why my health surprised my doctor so much. Not because I found some magical secret, but because I stopped battling myself. When I'm tired, I rest. When I'm hungry, I choose real, nourishing food. When I want clarity, I enjoy coffee. When my mind awakens at night, I allow it. When life feels heavy, I lighten it with humor. This, to me, is the art of aging well. Flowing with the body, not against it. The body thrives when treated with respect, not pressure. What I want you to know. A message for anyone in their 60s, 70s, or beyond. If you're in your later years and wondering if it's too late to improve your health, let me tell you this, as someone who's walked many seasons before you. It is never too late to feel better. Never too late to adjust your habits. Never too late to return to what feels natural. Your body is wiser than you think. It remembers how to heal. It remembers balance. It remembers joy. You don't need harsh rules or rigid routines. You don't need guilt or shame. You don't need to become someone new. All you need is the courage to listen to yourself again. Take a nap if your eyelids grow heavy. Choose real food instead of processed imitations. Sip coffee if it warms your spirit. Sleep when your inner clock signals it's time. And laugh. Oh, please laugh whenever you can. These small choices, practiced daily, don't just support the body. They lift the soul. How to stay young without trying to stay young. People often ask me how I've managed to stay youthful at my age. They expect me to list supplements, exercises, or complicated routines. But truthfully, my secret is simple. I don't resist life. I move with it. I welcome it. I let it teach me. Aging isn't the enemy. Stagnation is. Fear is. Self-judgment is. But curiosity, gentleness, joy, those keep the heart young. I hope you give yourself permission to enjoy small pleasures again. To rest without guilt. To eat without fear. To laugh without hesitation. To live without apology. Because staying young isn't about the number of years behind you. It's about the light you carry within you. And that light, my friend, is fully in your hands. Age doesn't decide your vitality, your daily choices do. If you embrace your rhythms, honor your needs, and let joy find you in simple places, then no matter how old you are, you'll feel beautifully, wonderfully alive.